Walmart. That don't weigh no 4.66 pounds. We'll use the scale. 2.37 pounds. They're ripping people, straight ripping people off. I'm going through every single one of these. Fucking scammer.
Something is changing inside Walmart, and customers are starting to get angry. They walk in to save money, but even the promise of low prices is not as clear as it used to be. Customers are finding it harder and harder to know how much they will actually pay until they reach checkout. Walmart calls it modernization, but is the company really just shifting more and more work responsibility and risk from the store onto the customers themselves? Today we are going to take a hard look at the changes that are making shoppers lose patience and why Walmart may have finally crossed the line. Do not skip this video if you still buy groceries at Walmart and do not want to find out too late that you paid more than you thought. The Walmart shopping cart is getting further and further beyond the family budget. You walk into Walmart to save money, but when nearly $8 for 1 pound of ground beef starts being treated like a good price, I think we need to stop and take a look. How much food are shoppers actually getting for the money they spend? Look at this man. He is not shopping for steak, and he is not choosing meat for a special occasion. He is simply comparing the price of 1 pound of 93% lean ground beef at Aldi and Walmart. The price shown in this comparison is $7.47. Hold on. I understand that this is 93% lean ground beef. I also understand that prices can vary depending on the store, the area, and when this man went shopping. But what caught my attention was not whether Aldi or Walmart won this round. What caught my attention was that two stores many families depend on for savings are competing at a price above $7 for 1 pound of ground beef. This is where the meaning of cheap starts to change. It no longer means the item is affordable. It only means this item costs less than the one next to it. Think about a normal week. Tacos on Monday night, spaghetti on Wednesday, and hamburgers over the weekend. People do not buy ground beef because they want a fancy meal. They buy it because one ingredient can be turned into several meals. But if you need 3 pounds, the meat alone already costs more than $20. Then you still need tortillas, pasta, tomato sauce, vegetables, cheese, and buns. At that point, I would no longer be asking whether Aldi or Walmart is cheaper by a few cents. I would be asking whether beef is still on the menu this week or whether I need to change the entire plan. But one comparison is not enough. I wanted to know what shoppers were seeing inside Walmart itself.
Será que a carne moída aqui no
some
Walmart
packages are marked down.
baixou o
One option
preço?
dropped from
Olha, esta bandeja, eu
$8.97 to
encontrei esta bandeja.
$7.47. I'm
Antes
not
estava
denying
custando
that shoppers save
$14, hoje ela
150s.
está por
For a family watching, every dollar that amounts
Você
still
vai
matters.
economizar
But being cheaper than yesterday does
$3,73.
not mean it is affordable today. If an item is marked
Vamos
down
conferir se
and
tem
customers
mais
still
na
have to
promoção.
stop and calculate whether they can
Esta
afford 2
outra
pounds,
bandeja
the problem is no longer just the red
estava
sticker.
de 8.
The problem is how much money is left after the meat goes into the cart. Walmart also sells larger packages at a lower price per pound. On paper, that is the smart choice, but put yourself in the position of someone who only has $50 left for an entire week of groceries. You could spend more than $40 on a large roll of ground beef to save money per pound. But then what are you supposed to use to buy eggs, milk, vegetables, and breakfast food? To me, something is only truly cheap when the person who needs it can actually afford to buy it. And these numbers only really mean something when you place them inside a real budget. This mother has exactly $15 to buy dinner for a family of 5. She starts in the frozen food section. 2 main dishes already cost nearly $8, but her daughter will not eat that meal, so she has to add a $2 pizza. She still needs bread and the other parts of dinner after that. I do not look at the $2 pizza and think she made the wrong choice. I look at it and see an entire mother's calculation change because one child will not eat the main dish. A family is not a spreadsheet. You cannot always choose the cheapest option and assume everyone will be able to eat it. In the end, the total comes to $14.90, just 10 cents below the limit. I am glad she made it work, but I do not look at that result and think everything is working beautifully. I see a mother who just turned a trip to buy dinner into a test where she could not afford to be wrong by more than 10 cents. I am not using these 3 examples to say every Walmart is the same, but when nearly $8 is treated like a good price, while a family has to count every cent just to put together one dinner, shoppers have every right to ask how much can their money actually buy anymore. But this price is especially disappointing because it is not showing up at a premium grocery store. It is showing up at the place millions of families once depended on because they believed it would help them save money. Walmart's low price promise is starting to crack. An expensive item at a premium grocery store does not surprise me, but when you walk into Walmart to avoid high prices and still have to stop at every label to figure out what is worth buying, I know the old standard is truly starting to fall apart. And this
For
time, we do
7
not have
years,
to
I've
rely
been
on
tracking
memory.
prices
This woman
at
has
this
tracked
one
prices at the
Walmart
same
in
Walmart in
Georgia.
Georgia for
And at our
7
last
years,
price check,
with her
we had
latest list covering 114
items
products
on our list
from
from
almost
almost
every part of
every
the
aisle of
store.
the
Take a
superstore.
close
We
look at
chose
the number.
Walmart because
About half of the items went up in price over the past year. That rate is more than twice what it was the year before, with an average increase of about 5%. That does not sound too frightening, right? But a family never buys just one item. They buy meat, milk, bread, eggs, breakfast food, toilet paper, and dozens of other things on the same trip. When several items go up at once, shoppers do not feel it as a percentage. They feel it in the final total on the receipt and the money they have left. If this were my parents, they might not remember exactly how much a box of cereal went up. They would just know that $100 used to bring home more, and now that money disappears faster. And that is what bothers me most here. This Walmart was chosen for the price tracking because it had a reputation for low and stable prices. To put it plainly, customers were not just buying products at Walmart, they were also buying the feeling that they did not have to question every price tag in the store each week. But when nearly half the list changes in just 1 year, how much of that sense of security is left? I also do not want to pick out only the items that went up and pretend everything became more expensive. Eggs, butter, milk, and some cereals actually got cheaper. That is good news, and shoppers really do benefit from it. But this mixed picture creates a new problem. You can no longer look at the Walmart logo and automatically assume your entire cart is a good deal. Now every single item has to be checked. And that is exactly what this man is doing. He has not filled his cart. He is simply stopping in front of the deli meat tuna and a few canned items and reading every price. The longer he looks, the more grocery shopping feels like a math problem instead of a choice. A package of deli meat costs nearly $5. A can of tuna costs more than $5. Some other options cost even more. I am not using these numbers to claim that one item is healthier than another. The sizes and serving amounts can be very different. But there is one thing we cannot ignore. Shoppers have to ask which item will fill them up, which one is enough for the whole family, which one can stretch across several meals, and which one will hurt the budget the least. To me, that is no longer simple grocery shopping. I am not asking Walmart to have the lowest price on every single product, but if a brand wants to keep being seen as a place that protects family budgets, I want to see that promise reflected in the things families buy every week, not just on a few sale signs. An old reputation cannot pay today's bill. Walmart still has cheap items, but customers no longer have enough reason to assume the entire cart is cheap. And even when they find a good price, it increasingly comes with more conditions. Shopping at Walmart is becoming more dependent on apps and memberships. In the past, seeing the price was enough to decide whether to buy something. Now a number on a label can come with an app, an account, and a whole list of other things to check. And this is a very clear example. This mother is looking for a pair of shoes under $20 for her child. She is not shopping for a designer brand, and she is not buying something unnecessary. Her children have grown and their old shoes no longer fit. But when her local Walmart switched to electronic price labels, she started worrying about something very basic: when exactly will the price on the label be updated? This is the part that bothers me. The store sets the price. The store owns the system. The store knows when the labels are updated, but the shopper still cannot get a clear answer. A shopping trip for a family of 5 can take an hour. You go from the shoe section to groceries, then to personal care products, and then back again to pick up something you forgot. The entire time you are still figuring out what you can buy now and what has to wait until the next paycheck. If prices can be updated faster than before, customers need to know which number will be charged for an item they already took off the shelf. That is not an unreasonable request. It is the bare minimum someone needs to stay within a budget. But the advice this mother received was this: if you are worried the price might change, take a picture of the item. I am sorry, but what kind of logic is that? Walmart has the technology to manage thousands of electronic labels, but customers are supposed to walk around the store, hold up their phones, and create their own evidence for every item they plan to buy. The problem is not the label. The problem is that responsibility is shifting sides. In the past, the price was public information. You saw the number, thought about it, and made a decision. No login required, no password needed, no worrying about your phone dying or the signal inside the store being too weak. Now some deals are inside the app, receipts are saved to an account, purchase history can be connected to a customer profile. Other benefits are tied to Walmart Plus. I use the app when it helps me find a product check, whether something is in stock, or save a receipt. When technology gives me less work to do, I have no reason to object. But this is where I draw the line. A tool is only convenient when customers still have the right not to use it. If people with smartphones see more deals, people with accounts get access to more benefits, and paying members receive a better experience, The store is starting to divide customers into different levels, and who is most likely to be left behind: older people who are not comfortable scanning codes, people without smartphones, people who do not want to create another account, people living on a fixed income who do not want to pay another fee just to buy basic necessities. Put your parents in that situation. They walk into Walmart to buy milk bread and toothpaste. Why should they have to call their children or grandchildren just to find out whether a deal requires them to open an app? A good price that only tech-savvy customers can fully access is no longer a good price for everyone. There is another case that also made me ask questions. A woman said she had not opened the Walmart app in more than 1 year and still paid with cash. But after one shopping trip, she started seeing ads related to the types of products she had just bought. She had previously signed up for digital receipts. This case does not prove that Walmart identifies every cash transaction. We do not have the technical records, and we still do not know how the data may have been connected. It definitely does not prove that Walmart is setting different prices for different people. But if that happened to me, I would ask the same thing: does my transaction really end at the register? Or does it keep going behind the scenes through my account and data? I do not turn concern into evidence, but I also do not accept the idea that customers should stay quiet just because they do not understand the entire system. Prices should be information the store clearly provides. They should not be a puzzle that shoppers need a phone, an account, and pictures to solve. But even after they find a price they are willing to pay, the work is still not over. They still have to check whether that same number actually appears at checkout. Walmart customers have to check prices themselves after paying. $3.47 on the shelf, $4.93 on the receipt. It was just one box of cereal, but the shopper paid an extra $1.46 without the machine showing that anything was wrong. Take a close look at the receipt she is holding. The family size box of rice checks was marked $3.47 on the shelf, but it rang up as $4.93 at checkout. The box of multigrain Cheerios she bought at the same time was charged correctly. That makes the mistake even harder to notice. If the entire receipt were wrong, the shopper would immediately know something was off. But here, most of the lines still look normal. Only one item is buried in the middle of the list at a price that is $1.46 higher. You look at the total, think it seems a little high, but you do not know exactly where the extra money came from. I hate this kind of mistake more than one huge error. If a $4 item rang up as $40, anyone would stop, but $4.93 instead of $3.47 is small enough to make customers question their own memory. Maybe I looked at the wrong price. Maybe that other box was a different size. Maybe the sale had ended. Then you look at the line behind you and think, forget it, it is just a little over $1. I just want to go home. That is exactly why these small amounts are so easy to overlook. To get that $1.46 back, the shopper has to keep the receipt read every line, figure out which abbreviated product name matches the item, go back to the right aisle, find the exact box size, compare the price, and then ask for the difference to be refunded. The amount is small, but correcting it takes time and patience. She went shopping for cereal, but ended up having to check for herself whether the transaction had been handled correctly. That does not make sense. The shelf price was posted by the store. The scanner data is managed by the store. The receipt is also created by the store's system. The customer did not enter a single number at any of those 3 steps. But when those numbers do not match, the shopper is still the first person expected to catch it. If she had not read the receipt, would that $1.46 have come back on its own? No. If she only noticed after driving home, would she return to Walmart, find parking stand in line, and explain the problem just to get back a little over $1? A lot of people would let it go. It is not because they do not value their money. They are deciding whether their time is worth the amount they lost. Now think about a real shopping trip with 30 or 40 items, including meat priced by weight sale, items, coupons, and products that look almost identical but come in different sizes. On the receipt, the product names are shortened into combinations of letters that can be very hard to read. You have just worked all day, your eyes are tired, your child wants to go home, other people are waiting behind you. Are you going to read every single line? Most of us do not do that every time. Older shoppers are even more likely to miss something. The print is small, the screens are bright, there are a lot of products, and standing for a long time is difficult. The irony is that people living on Social Security or a fixed income are the ones who need to protect every dollar the most. A pricing error does not have to be large to hurt someone. It only has to be small enough that speaking up feels like more trouble than accepting the loss. I am not saying Walmart intentionally charged more in this case. The label may not have been updated, the data may not have synced, or this may have been an isolated mistake. One case also cannot represent every store, but an accidental mistake still takes real money. And Walmart cannot shift all the responsibility onto customers by saying, check your receipt more carefully. Checking is an important way to protect yourself, but it cannot become an excuse for the system to make mistakes while shoppers are left to pay the price if they fail to catch them. After seeing this case, I would pay the most attention to 3 groups of items: products on sale, products with several nearly identical sizes, and familiar items whose prices I still remember. Not to argue with employees, frontline workers are usually just fixing mistakes left behind by the system. I check because once once one line is wrong, the rest of the receipt no longer deserves complete trust. Shoppers are being forced to pay extra with their time, memory, and constant attention just to make sure they are charged the price they were shown. And when a transaction is only accurate after the customer finds the mistake, Walmart has to answer a much bigger question. Where does its responsibility begin within the system it operates? Walmart is shifting too much responsibility onto customers. At this point, the real concern is no longer about one item or one checkout. It is about how Walmart defines the word efficiency. A system is efficient when it reduces mistakes, saves time, and makes shopping easier. But when a company saves money while customers have to do more work to protect themselves, that is not efficiency. That is shifting the burden from management onto the people paying the bill. Walmart may say that a massive network cannot prevent every problem. That is true, but the bigger the operation, the higher the standard should be. A small mistake that happens once may be an accident. The same weakness showing up repeatedly across a large system can quietly drain a lot of small amounts from family budgets. And this is the part I cannot accept. The company benefits from speed automation and streamlined operations. But when something goes wrong, customers are told to be patient, check everything themselves, and chase down the correction on their own. That is a deal that benefits one side far too much. Customers bring the money. They are not being paid to test the system, find its weaknesses, or make up for parts of the operation that are not working properly. If technology helps Walmart serve people faster, great. But that technology also needs to make transactions more reliable. It cannot be fast for the company and frustrating for the shopper. What worries me most is that these small inconveniences are slowly being treated as normal. A few minutes lost here, an extra charge there, another explanation you have to give. Each one by itself may not be big enough to cause an explosion, but together they wear shoppers down and slowly make them give up their right to push back. That is the real damage, not just losing money, but losing the expectation that a simple transaction should be handled correctly the first time. Walmart cannot control every difficulty people face, but every process it creates, every system it puts into use, and every mistake that comes from those choices falls within its responsibility. If a corporation wants to be trusted as the place where millions of families buy essential goods, it has to act like a place worthy of that trust. And until that changes, shoppers are left with only one practical choice: protect their own budgets before small losses turn into a much bigger problem. It is time to stop shopping at Walmart out of habit. After all of this, I do not think Walmart has made customers angry only because of high prices or one mistake on a receipt. What it is losing is the right to be trusted. Once shoppers walk in feeling defensive, the problem is bigger than the price of any single item. First, I no longer automatically assume Walmart is the place to save money. I will treat Walmart like any other store. If an item makes sense, I will buy it. If it is expensive, comes with too many conditions, or does not offer enough value, I will leave it behind. A reputation for low prices cannot replace today's math. Every purchase has to prove that it is worth the money. Next, I will check everything, but I will not pretend that constant vigilance is normal. Keeping receipts, comparing unit prices, and checking sale items are smart things to do, but they are only forms of self-protection. They do not turn an unreliable system into a good one. I do not want grocery shopping to become a memory test, where people who are tired, older, or less comfortable with technology are more likely to lose out. Finally, I will ask for the mistake to be corrected, but I will not make employees the target. The person standing at the counter usually did not write the policy, build the software, or decide how Walmart operates. I will explain the problem clearly, show the evidence, and ask for an answer. Anger should be directed toward the people with the power to make changes, not dumped on the worker who is stuck in the same system we are. My verdict: Walmart needs to make shopping easy to understand, consistent, and trustworthy. I believe most people watching are not asking for special treatment. We just want to know how much we are paying, receive what we actually chose, and leave the store without wondering what we may have missed. Customers may not leave right away, but they will remember the feeling of having to stay on guard. A brand should fear that more than a temporary complaint. Walmart is making customers walk into its stores more guarded than ever before. Prices are no longer just sitting on the shelf. They are now tied to apps, accounts, membership deals, and receipts. And the system behind all of it is forcing shoppers to check more things for themselves. So the most important thing you can bring with you when you walk into Walmart is not a coupon code or a membership card. It is your awareness. Walmart will open again tomorrow. The familiar aisles will still be there, but the system behind them has changed. Trust is no longer automatic. Every item needs a second look before you put it in your cart. What about you? The last time you walked into Walmart, what made you feel like the store was no longer what it used to be? Share your experience, and do not forget to subscribe to follow the changes that are reshaping America.